I was leading a cave diving expedition on the Nullarbor Plain in Western Australia a few years ago now, and there was we were exploring an underwater cave system similar to what we've got in Sanctum, and on the last day of the expedition we're hauling all of our equipment out, and most of the people in the cave engaged in that activity, and I was on quite a small ledge hauling tanks up, and a freak storm hit the area, and what started as a trickle of water into the cave, we go, wow, this looks fantastic, let's film it, turned into a torrent, which then started to collapse the entrance of the cave, and literally boulders the size of an SUV were rolling down in the cave. You could hear the clatter of scuba tanks as they were banging off the walls, and it trapped initially 15 of us below ground, myself included. I managed to escape through the torrent after about 5 hours of just waiting with a near-death experience. You know, the roof above my head like an Indiana Jones movie, you know, cracks appearing and then inching down on top of us. And it got to the point that I thought, well, either we make a run for it and we get killed in the avalanche, or we stay here and we get flattened like a pancake. So obviously the first option was the better one. And then it took another 2 days to extract the rest of the crew by exploring a new way out of the cave. So that was really the inspiration for this movie, and to then, you know, distill down the bits of that story and the real life drama of that and put it into a fictional story which plays out, and we can then explore how people react and respond and what it's like to be trapped. And I can tell you, it's even if you enjoy the activity of exploring caves, to be trapped and not know whether you're going to get out alive is terrifying.
We needed actors who knew would be hungry enough to do a really hard job, because this is really tough. I mean, doing all that underwater training, I mean, the gags that Richard and Alison do when they do they share the face mask is something that even for professionals to do is very, very dangerous. I mean, you're in a lot of ways. I don't think we ever quite told them how dangerous it was.
You shoot that scene on the last day.
In a way, the kind of action elements, I think, are just the excuse, or the kind of MacGuffin, if you like, to actually tell the story of the son's sort of, you know, rite of passage. So on the one hand, you know, we want the white knuckle elements, because I think that's great to entertain people and enjoy the experience of the movie. On the other, for me, it's very much hoping that they connect with the characters.
But see, action is a way of externalizing an emotional state. You might be in a situation where you're absolutely petrified and your heart is pounding, and you might be seconds away from death, but not a lot might be happening. Like, you might not be running and leaping and climbing and doing all that. But the way you create that emotional state in a movie is by having the characters have physical jeopardy that they have to work against, and in experiencing these new things. So the action, it's not action like in an Indiana Jones movie, or even in a thriller where you have fight scenes and gunplay and all that. It's not that. It's really an externalization of the inner struggle, the willpower to survive, and how people either fall apart under pressure and don't step up, or even the ones that do step up and do well just because of the caprice of fate are, you know, don't make it anyway, and what the others do about that. And the leader, played by Richard Roxburgh, you know, he has to make some very hard choices. And I think that part of the journey for the audience is learning to like him and really understand him and care about him, because he's a real prick when you first meet him, and then you find out why. Because he is in and of that environment in a way that they're outsiders, and when they get to the point where their survival depends on him, the decisions that he makes, they question them at first, and after a while you start to realize when you make 3 right calls in a row and you're still alive because of it, maybe you want to listen to this guy. You know, it's that sort of story. It's really about the psychology of survival, about people stretched to the very, tautly, right to the edge of what they can stand and then beyond. And I love that kind of story personally. And it's really kind of the anti-Avatar in a way. There's some CG in the film, but it's sort of hidden away in places, you know, that you wouldn't expect. But it doesn't look like an effects movie. It has that feeling of being completely real.